You said that Shelley was turned over to the police. When was that?
When the incident was prior to my time, so I can't give you a date, but it was on my understanding two occasions that that was given. The files were given to the police.
Right. In 2004, you're aware that your predecessor, Archbishop Flynn, and his subordinates became aware of his possession of materials that were borderline child pornography, at least, correct?
Objection. You're again misstating facts.
I don't know when that happened. I don't have a recollection of that. I do know that on two occasions that computer was taken to the police. But on two occasions it was also said that it wasn't child pornography.
Did you ever, while the Archbishop here, tell anyone to report Shelley to the police?
Did I? The incident happened prior to my being Archbishop.
I know, but he continued as a priest while you were Archbishop.
That's true.
And he continues as a priest to this day, although he is on sabbatical, correct?
He's on a leave of absence at this present moment.
And when he took that leave, he told the people that he was going on sabbatical, did he not?
Yes, he did.
And a party was held.
I don't know that.
So my question to you is, did you personally or order anyone in your charge to report Shelley to police?
I don't know that I did, no.
You say you don't know that you did. What does that mean?
Well, I don't have the recollection of having done that.
Okay, so you don't recall ever having told anybody or instructed anybody to report to the police, or having done it yourself, correct?
My understanding is that there was a question on the part of my canonical chancellor as to the matter to the of the computer, and my moderator of the Curia, Father Laird at the time, instructed her to take it to the police.
Are you referring to Jennifer Hesselberger?
I am.
She was urging you to report it to the police, wasn't she?
I thought she was working in our priests' work group, and the topic came up, and my understanding was that Father Laird had instructed her to take that to the police.
Archbishop, you wrote a letter to the CDF, the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, and Cardinal Leveda, specifically stating that you're concerned that your advisors have told you that you may be in violation of the law by reason of possible possession of child pornography previously possessed by Shelley, correct?
No.
Never wrote such a letter?
No. The letter was drafted by Jennifer Hesselberger, but when I read it, I did further investigation, realized that this was not correct, and the letter was never sent.
And did you look at the images?
I did. She showed me some images, yes.
She claims that those images that she brought to you and showed to you were child pornography or borderline child pornography, and should have been reported to the police, correct?
No, I looked at those images and I could not tell whether they were adolescents or older.
It was a close call, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Yeah. And so she urged you to turn that over to the law enforcement for them to make that determination, didn't she?
She may have, but it had already been turned over to the police department, and the verdict had come back that it wasn't child pornography.
You're talking about in 2004.
Well, probably, yes.
Well, what are you talking about? It's already been turned over.
It had been given to the St. Paul Police Department, and the police department had said that it wasn't child pornography.
When Jennifer Hesselberger placed the images before you and you looked at them, correct?
Correct.
She urged you because they were borderline, and you couldn't make the determination, and by looking at them, you couldn't make the determination, and didn't, that it should go to the police, correct?
I don't recall her at the time saying that.
What did she say?
I don't recall.
When did you view those images, Archbishop?
I don't recall the exact date. I'm trying to think, but I can't recall the exact time.
When you made the determination that you yourself couldn't tell on viewing those images whether it was adolescents or adults, did you report that to the police?
I did not.
You're a mandatory reporter, aren't you?
I am.
And you're aware as a mandatory reporter that you are required to report immediately any suspicions of child abuse, correct?
Correct.
And you're also aware that pornographic images of children is child abuse.
Correct. I was not able to determine that that was child pornography.
Why do you think we have reporting statutes? It's for the police and professionals to make that determination.
Correct, and they already had.
When did you learn they had already determined that these images were not illegal?
Prior to the time of her showing them to me.
Who told you the police had made that determination?
I believe it was Father McDonough.
When did he tell you that? How soon before you viewed those images?
I don't recall. It was sometime before, I believe.
What does some time mean? A month, a week, a day?
I'm trying to recollect, and I don't have that answer.
Jennifer Hasselberger was telling you that she believed them to have been child abuse and, in fact, pornographic images of children, correct?
I believe that she believed that to be true.
Yes. And Kevin McDonough also had viewed those images, correct?
To the best of my recollection, I think he had.
And he took a different view, didn't he?
He did.
And what was his view expressed to you?
Well, I can't say for sure that he expressed this to me, but I know that from others that he believed that they were not child pornography.
Did McDonough tell you he had reported to the police?
He told me that that in 2004 that the computer and everything on it, the discs, had been reported to the police. Yes.
So you were relying on McDonough's representation to you in 2000, I think it's 12, that it had been reported back to the police in 2004? Is that what you're telling us today?
Yes.
Did you ever learn if it actually had been reported to the police in 2004?
Well, yes.
What informs you that in fact the police had received a report concerning these images in 2004?
So there was a record.
A record in the file?
Yes.
Prepared by whom?
I can't answer that.
When did you see that record that you're relying upon for that assertion?
When the whole matter was brought up about whether or not the whole file had been turned over, there was some discrepancy there. Jennifer believed that the whole file hadn't been turned over, Subsequently, when we did an investigation with the person who worked on the computer, and he indicated that everything had been encrypted into those files.
What person are you referring to?
I think it was whoever worked for the Sutter Corporation.
There is a record that that person's report and the forensic report done by them has been withheld by your lawyer, Tom Weiser, from the police.
That's not true.
When was it turned over then by the Archdiocese?
Subsequent to that, to my seeing the images, Jennifer took that to the St. Paul Police Department, and they were given all the materials over again.
You did not instruct Jennifer to make that report, did you?
No, Father Laird did.
Did Father Laird tell you that he had told her to report?
Yes.
When was that Laird told you that he had instructed her to make such a report?
I think it was in 2012. I can't give you an exact date.
Did Father Laird view the images?
I can't say for sure.
Then why was Laird involved in this conversation about whether it should be reported? And how is it you now claim that it was Laird that told Hesselberger to make the report?
Well, because we had what we called a priests working group that Father Laird started when he came aboard as the moderator of the Curia. They would meet twice a month, and they would review any misbehavior on the part of any of the priests or deacons. And they would discuss this among themselves. There would be the canonical chancellor there, the civil chancellor, the moderator, the delegate for safe environments, so that everyone had a complete picture of what was going on. And it was at one of those meetings that this question of the Shelley files came up. And it's my understanding that Father Laird indicated to Jennifer that she should take that to the police.
Did you disagree with Laird?
No.
Did you disagree with Jennifer Hesselberger on whether this should be reported to law enforcement?
No, not at the time, no.
Did you express disagreement to her at any time that she should not report this because it was not a violation of the law or for some other reason?
I suspect, thinking back on it, that I told her that it had already been submitted to the police, and that having received an answer from them on their opinion of what was on the file, that it was not necessary to take it to the police a second time.
And when you told her that, she told you, in fact, the file does not reflect that it had been reported to the police earlier, correct?
I don't believe so.
Do you recall her becoming quite animated and adamant about that?
I don't recall that, no.
Did you instruct her to leave it alone?
She asked my opinion. I told her, I cannot make a judgment here. This has already been looked at by the police. It doesn't seem to me reasonable that we would take it back to the police the second time.
And you have no recollection of having been told by her that, in fact, the police had not examined this earlier. Only internal Archdiocese officials and their consultants had reviewed it.
It was not my understanding. My understanding was it had been turned over to the police in 2004.
At that time, when there was this differing view, did you make an effort to actually discern, by review of the file itself, whether or not such a report had ever been actually made to the police concerning Shelley?
If you're asking me if I reviewed the file with that purpose in mind, no, I did not.
What law enforcement agency do you believe it was reported to?
St. Paul Police Department.
And what date do you believe that was made?
I think you indicated in 2004.
Who at the Archdiocese made such a report, in your belief, in 2004?
It would have been either Mr. Eisensimmer or Father McDonough.
Are you speculating, or do you have some reason to believe they actually did?
Well, they were the ones that had the responsibility, so I guess I am speculating.
So you're assuming that, aren't you?
I think with reasonable certitude.
And you base that reasonable certitude on what?
On the trust I have in the people who were telling me that they had already done it.
So because you trust them, and because you know that this information was possessed in 2004, you're assuming they made a report as required by the law in 2004. Is that correct?
Well, again, counsel, you're misstating the record.
Well, I'm asking if that's correct. If it's wrong, he can say so.
No.
Is that correct, Archbishop?
No.
No. You
Wait,
can't.
Archbishop.
If you have an objection, make it. Is it
I am
correct?
making it. And no, don't wait. Wait, Archbishop. Counsel, again, your facts are not the record. You can't create facts, okay? You can't misstate record and
Don't give me a
evidence.
lecture.
I
Just
am
give me an
giving you a
objection
lecture
if you have
because you
one.
continue to do it. And it's improper. That's not what the law allows. Now, he's already told you that someone told him that. And you've asked him 5 times at least the same question. So if you want to ask another question in a proper way that has information in that asks him what the facts are as opposed to your facts, that's fine.
Today, you can't tell me who made the report, can you?
I can tell you with reasonable certitude, but I cannot tell you for sure.
Okay. So, who made the report with reasonable certitude?
I would suspect it would have been Father McDonough.
When did that person make that report with reasonable certitude?
When the matter was brought up, apparently in 2004.
Question is when? Do you know with reasonable certitude the report was made?
No.
With reasonable certitude, to whom was that made?
To whom I don't understand the question. To the St. Paul Police Department, you mean?
Who at the St. Paul Police Department?
I have no idea. That was before my time.
And on what do you base your answers using the term reasonable certitude that the report was made? On what do you base that?
On the trust and confidence that I have in the people who were working for me.
Have you ever seen a record that demonstrates in the file that such a report was made?
I did not see a receipt, no. I was told that there was one, and I had no reason not to believe it.
And again, who told you that?
I believe that would have been Mr. Eisensimmer.
And when did he tell you that?
When the whole matter came up again in 2012.
And have you reviewed anything since then that demonstrates that not to have been the case?
No, I have not.